Hi, this is Bill Wolf, and it's Tuesday, May 26th. Welcome to my video podcast. Hope everyone had a terrific Memorial Day weekend. Hey, I have with me Bill Sholette today. He's the level product manager for Endress+Hauser. He's been the E&H product manager for 7.5 years. He's been in level for 41 years. And Bill Sholette, welcome to the video podcast.
Thanks, Bill. Happy to be here.
Hey, so you're the level guy. You've been a level guy for like over 40 years. So how did you become the level guy? And like, were you always a level guy? I mean, it's almost like when you're like 15 years old, did you say, I'm going to become a level guy?
Yeah, not even close.
How'd you get going in this?
It's a great question. I actually started my first job during high school and just out of high school. I spent 3 years working as a taxidermist apprentice, believe it or not. So pretty far away from instrumentation, as far as you can get, I suppose. But I realized after about 3 years that it wasn't something I was going to do with the rest of my life. And a buddy of mine was working at an instrumentation company that made level products, and he helped me get a job there. And I figured I'd work there for a little while. I'm sorry. I figured I'd work there for a little while and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And here I am 41 years later doing this. So, yeah, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. So, yeah.
Good run. Good run. Yeah, it's amazing you've been doing it for 40 years, and I've known you before you became the E&H, and just like you, I mean, hey, when I started in this business at 19 years of age, it wasn't like I went, hey, I'm going to be in instrumentation and controls the rest of my life. I was like, hey, I'm going to start out in co-op and Drexel. We'll see how it goes. So here we are.
Yeah.
Hey, so you've been in level for 41 years. I've been in the business for 40 years or so as well. In level, what trends have you seen? Like, what were the trends in the difference, per decade and such? Like, trends and differences you've seen in levels over the past in your career?
Yeah. Well, I actually, when I first started at the instrumentation company, we weren't selling, but we were still repairing units with vacuum tubes. So that tells you about how far back it goes. There was 4 to 20 milliamp outputs, but there's also 10 to 5 or 5 to 10 and 10 to 50 milliamp outputs. Over the years, we've gone into obviously the change from the analog units to the smart units to the digital protocols. And now moving forward, we're going more into the wireless connections, being able to have access to all the information on the internet. I can easily see that in the next few years, all the units that you have in your facility are going to be tied to the internet. You're going to be able to access them from anywhere you want in the world. So that's kind of where I've been and where I see going. It's been a long ride. So.
Well, it's interesting. When you and I first started in the business, I mean, there wasn't no internet. I mean, there weren't even computers back when you and I started, man. I mean, I remember, I think there were like plain paper fax machines were like the cutting edge way of doing things back in the day, right?
Yep. Yeah. We did telexes when I first started. We didn't even have
telexes. Yeah, I remember telexes. You had somebody going in and
typed in. Man.
Guys writing orders on paper with carbon paper behind it, so it copied automatically.
Yep, exactly.
So interesting progression. So now you've got the Endress+Hauser portfolio, and how does that fit into today's market? I mean, you've got changes, and now there's the E&H portfolio. And just like in a 30,000 square foot view, could you share with our folks watching the podcast, like, what is the portfolio overall?
Okay, so yeah, it's we have a really full basket of products from the level side. Everything from your more popular products like radar and guided wave radar to servos and the older technology, ultrasonic capacitance. They all still have a place. I've said many times over the years, every technology has a good and bad place to go. If one technology could do it all, there'd only be one technology. Everything would just migrate to that. That would be the end of it. But I've been around long enough to see the influx of ultrasonic and then radar and even laser and all these technologies. None of them have been this silver bullet that everybody wants that will take care of all their applications and they won't have to worry about anything. They all have their subtleties that you have to look through and work your way through to make sure that it's applied properly to the application.
Yeah, I know I've been on several sales calls with you, and you're right. You go into a plant, it's like, okay, what's our solution here? And then perhaps you go to another tank and it's a different type of solution, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
it depends on the application. So E&H has this level portfolio. I hope I got the stat right. I think that they put in about 11% or the ROI every year reinvested into research and development. So,
Right.
and what's great is as your rep is that there's always an influx of new products and new technologies. So if you could, Bill, share with us what are a couple of the new products that EndressHauser has released with levels lately that you feel are pretty impactful?
I guess that's a good question. I guess the first one I would think of would be the higher frequency radars that we're offering today. When I first started seeing radars, they had antennas that were 2 feet long and maybe 20 inches in diameter. These huge things, low frequency, 6 gigahertz down in that range. And today, with the higher frequency, the 80 gigahertz radars, we're actually making radars that have 3/4 inch NPT mountings. They're super tiny. The beam angles are much tighter. We have, you go back to the 6 gigahertz, you might have a beam angle of 30 degrees. You look at this, the 80 gigahertz radars, and we have a 3-degree beam angle. So it's very tight. It's great for being able to ignore obstructions inside the vessel, further ranges, and handling more difficult electrical properties than the older radars could handle. So even still, there's still a place for those older radars, but the newer radars are really, really cutting edge and doing a great job. The other thing,
if I could, Bill, just on that point and just chatting, right? That 80 gig, right? So one of the areas that I think we've walked into before is smaller space, smaller tanks. Now you can use a radar on like a really small vessel, correct?
yes.
Which you couldn't do before because the beam angle.
Yep. And the mounting sizes were they were huge because you needed a big mounting to get that big antenna into the vessel.
Okay.
So today with these smaller and smaller mountings, you can do things that we just couldn't do even 4 or 5 years ago. We couldn't do them. So really a great advancement. And then the other thing, as I already mentioned, we're seeing is this what they call the industrial Internet of Things, where everything's going to be tied to the internet, and we're bringing out new products that have internet capability. We started out with continuous products. Now we're even doing it in the point level switches where you can connect to it with your iPhone or your iPad. It's amazing when you think about where we are today from when I got started in this business, and it was all pretty much just analog products and dip switches and dialing pots to configure them. So
that's cool. So you mentioned switches. I think we have a new switch out, correct? It's and I didn't. When I first came on board E&H, I didn't realize how dominant you folks were in switches. Yeah. And man, I sell a ton of switches. The Liquifont, the Solifons. Okay. Could you just share with us a little bit the new switch technology? I think it's the 51B. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So the FTL 51B is our new Liquifont. It is very similar to the old Liquifont in function, but we've added some of these great features like a really high resolution LED that can be seen across the facility, and it'll tell you, hey, I'm in the normal condition, I'm in the covered condition, or hey, I'm red, man, I'm in trouble, something's wrong with me, right? Also the ability to have the Bluetooth connection. And some people might say, well, why do you need a Bluetooth connection on a point level switch? It's on or off, you know? But now we can do preventative maintenance. We can go in and watch the frequency of that tuning fork to make sure it's operating in the proper range. We can test it with our iPhone. We could actually go in and do a test on the unit without having to climb up on the tank or get a cherry picker up to it. We can test through via the Bluetooth. Mm-hmm. And we have the heartbeat technology, which is an internal diagnostic program that's constantly running and testing the switch and making sure it's operating properly from the microprocessors all the way down to the fork. So really great maintenance.
Yeah, it's got a lot of horsepower, and I'll tell you a story. You and I were talking last week, and I said, hey, I'm going to reach out to a few of our customers, and one of which buys our Liquifonts. And I said, hey, we're going to set up a virtual meeting because of the COVID restrictions right now, if you guys are interested. And the customer came back in like 15 minutes and goes, Hey, no need to do it, man. I went on your website. I just popped open Applicator. Can you give me a price and availability on 6 of these? I love this thing. So it was like, whoa. So
Great.
you're right. It's very impactful.
Yeah, powerful.
So
Powerful.
yeah. So all right, hon. My wife just told me she's heading out to the store. But again, this is a recording, and we're doing this kind of. And hey, you know what, folks? This is what a home office is. So we're gonna keep on going. We're not editing that out. Here we go.
Life.
So, so hey, unique products. I know that you folks just released one, and I think it has to do with totes. And I don't recall in my career with E&H being able to really measure level in totes. That's cool. Can you share that with us, please?
Yeah, this is a very cool product. It's called the FWR30, and it is a radar unit. There's the antenna, and it's designed to go on plastic totes. It's got a low profile, so when you have those ones with the cages around it and you're stacking them, you won't crush it. It'll be low enough, it'll be below the cage.
Yeah.
So it measures the level in the tote, but it does it by measuring through the plastic tote. You don't have to cut a hole in the tote. You mount this on top. The plastic is a low dielectric. The microwave energy goes right through it, measures it, sends that information up to the cloud, right? And you can then view that information on the internet or your iPhone or your iPad or an Android. Don't want to slight anybody there.
Yep, gotcha.
And also, it has a triangulation feature. So if you need to track that tote, where did we put that tote? Where did we ship that tote to? You could triangulate that tote via the FWR30 and tell you on a map exactly where it is. So great features, really a neat product. And we've just brought this out recently, and I'm really excited about it. We're really contacting a lot of companies that supply chemicals to other companies. This is the perfect deal for them.
I actually, and obviously I won't say it in the video podcast, but the names of the companies, but I actually have several chemical manufacturers we work with that I want to talk to about this application, these tote applications, Bill. So
excellent. Yeah, I think it's a really great product. It has and it's a need that needed to be filled. So
that's cool. I like it. Hey, so we've got new products, we've got unique products, and then every manufacturer that we represent outside of E&H as well, and in my career, they've always had these other products that you say, you know what, people should really know more about this product. It's a unique product or it's an outlier product that we're really strong with, but maybe we don't do the right job of marketing it, or maybe for whatever reason, it just hasn't really gotten traction. And I'm sure E&H has those parts of its portfolio as well and level. Can you share with us that outlier product that everyone watching this podcast is show, you know what, I didn't know about that, but that's interesting. And just this is an FYI.
This is a good one because we are very strong in inventory management in Europe. We're one of the main suppliers for inventory management, for tank gauging, for custody transfer, for the communication back to the software for your accounting department, and for sending out notices to say you're low and stuff. We make radars, we make servos, we make a whole product offering that is geared toward the inventory management group, and hardly anybody knows we do it. The problem we had is we haven't done it for many years in the United States. It's only been for like the last 10 years or so that we've really been pushing in the United States. So we're not real well known at Endress+Hauser for having those types of product, but we have an excellent offering. And that's an area that if your customers have inventory management needs, we can do the whole ball of wax. We can do filling systems. We can do the tank systems, putting in for flow there. We do the flow measurement, custody transfer flow measurements coming in. We can do all that. So yes, that's a big deal for us.
Yeah, and Bill, it's a leading question and for you, and I've made several calls with you as well as some specialty managers in that space with you. Right. And you're right, it's a dialogue with a customer that it goes pretty wide and deep into what they're trying to accomplish, and we do have a really good offering there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, so okay. Here's Bill Sholette, and again, I've known you, Bill, for a while now, and I we go out and we make sales calls. We have some fun together. 41 years. Here you go, man. What's the most fun or bizarre, or a couple of those fun or bizarre level applications and things you've done?
Okay, yeah. Well, that could take a couple hours, but I'll just try to pick a couple of good ones here.
Play in the sandbox, man. Come on.
Yeah. One of the really fun ones was we did level measurements on the wave pool at Typhoon Lagoon down in Florida.
I love Typhoon Lagoon,
Been
man.
there?
Sure.
When they fill these vessels up with the water, and they use their radar to measure how much they're putting in. The more water, the bigger the wave, and then they dump it and it makes the wave and so on. So we've done that. That's pretty cool. One of the most bizarre ones I ever did, and we actually did not end up doing this. We were asked about it. Customer had a safari park, and they had these 2 ponds with hippos in it. And they wanted to measure the hippos underwater because they needed to get the hippos out of the one pond into the other pond so they could seal it off and clean it. So they wanted a measurement to count the hippos as they were going through this restricted section between the 2 ponds. The problem was the best way for us to do that would have been ultrasonic or sonar. Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, you had to put the transducer down in the water because you can't transmit from air to water and then through the water. And the problem was the hippos would just eat it. So we decided that probably wouldn't work out too well in the long run. But that was one of the more bizarre applications that has come up for me. Yeah, there's plenty others, but that one really sticks out to me.
Well, as the people watching this podcast are seeing it, this isn't rehearsed. That's the first time I heard that one. That was pretty good. And I didn't know about Typhoon Lagoon either. And yes, that is, I've been there a couple of times, and that is one of my favorite places, favorite memories, actually.
I did level products on It's a Small World ride too, on that water, for the water level in the.
It's Small in Disney World.
That's right.
Know that one too.
Yeah.
Know that one too. Well, I'm looking forward to those times coming back.
Yeah, me too. I guess we all are.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you. And
thank you.
thank you so much for coming on today and recording this with me. Again, the idea is to share information with our folks out there watching this podcast. And Bill Sholette, thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Good talking to you, Bill.
Good talking to you. Hey, folks. Good. Excellent talking to you, Bill. Thank you. That wraps up our podcast today. Again, Tuesday, May 26th. If you have a level product challenge out there, reach out to us at Eastern Controls. We'd be happy to help you. And thanks again for watching this video podcast. And keep those thumbs up coming. Thank you very much. Take care.